So, good afternoon to all the people who have joined us today for this session on walkthrough of green and healthy buildings. My name is Siddhant Agarwal, and I'm a student of RIC School of Built Environment, Amity University, Noida. And on behalf of the Prem Jain Memorial Trust, I'll be your host today. I'm delighted to invite you to join this session as a part of series of green talks organized by Prem Jain Memorial Trust. And today's session is in association with Nitte School of Architecture during the third edition of the Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav from 23rd to 29th January 2021. These insightful sessions are organized to address the importance and need for sustainability in the built environment. They are specially curated for Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav 2021 to spread awareness amongst future generations about a greener way of life. Green Talks are a series of dialogues led by green champions and stalwarts who walk the green in their daily lives and will engage with architecture and engineering students and young working professionals to monitor, to guide and mentor their path in green. Before beginning today's session, I would like to invite Ms. Payal Jain, founder trustee Prem Jain Memorial Trust, to address the audience. Graduating summa cum laude from the prestigious Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco, Payal has seen her vision through leading the wave of homegrown fame designers, seamlessly blending Indian recherche and craftsmanship with modern day Western silhouettes. Payal Jain's name is synonymous with eternal style. She describes her brand ethos as having a Western body with an Indian soul. It is with these values that have been incorporated in Payal's unique vision. As collections are pret-a-porter or horticulture, she believes each garment is a resplendent journey telling a unique story. Along with couture, her work has delivered aesthetic solutions across different stratas of the corporate world, be it hotels, hospitals, airports, or corporations. She has done several fashion shows over the years to collect funds for NGOs that are working sincerely towards improving lives of weaker section of the society. Over to you, ma'am, and we look forward to some inspiring words from you.
Thank you very much, Siddhant. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to welcome everybody here on behalf of Prem Jain Memorial Trust, Dr. Rekha, Ashish, Ms. Charanjit, Gayatri, of course, for always being connected, and thank you, Siddhant, for anchoring this session. It's a pleasure. We're in the midst of our third Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav, and I'd like to spend a couple of minutes talking about Dr. Jain for those of you who did not know him. We have a lot of students, and you may have heard of him or read about him, but you don't know that he was a teacher at heart, and he taught at the School of Architecture for 40 years of his life as a visiting faculty. He was also known as the father of the green building movement in India. And when he started talking about green buildings, maybe about 15, 16 years ago, and started the crusade with 20,000 square feet, which today has reached 7.75 billion square feet in India. And I believe we are looking at hitting 10 billion square feet next year. India stands at number 2 as far as the world is concerned in green building footprint. Prem Jain Memorial Trust was created in 2018 in his memory by a handful of industry veterans who loved him, with the mission to create, establish, and maintain sustainability through education, which is what the hope of the trust is, and which is why the Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav was created. We are grateful to have all of you here and the colleges as partners. Thank you again for being here and for listening. I'm hoping that you will carry this message of sustainability further, and each one of you will touch another few hundred lives and carry this mission ahead. Thank you very much for having me here, and back to you, Siddharth. Thank you.
Thank you for those inspiring words, ma'am. And I am sure all of us will carry the message from here today and work towards building a greener world. Uh, the event today is in partnership with the Nitti School of Architecture, and we have with us the college representatives, uh, Professor Dr. Architect Chandran Rekha Jetty and Ms. Gayatri, and I would like to invite them to address the audience now.
A very good afternoon to all the prominent personalities, distinguished friends from the academia, industrial peers. A very hearty welcome to one and all. On behalf of the hosting institution, it is my pleasure to introduce NITI School of Architecture, Planning and Design. We are a renowned institution under the NITI Education Trust, Mangaluru. The former chairman of the NITI Education Trust and Institutions is Justice Late Shri, who is a former of India. Our campus is guided by Shetty sir, Chancellor of Central University of Karnataka, Kalburgi, and former Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University twice. NITI Education Trust has NITI University and over 65 institutions, autonomous institutions, which include schools, hospitals, research centers, technical institutions, engineering institutions, satellite health centers, management institutions, architecture, planning and design institutions, health science institutions, and science and commerce institutions are part of NITI Education Trust. NITI School of Architecture, Planning and Design was incepted in the year 2016-17. We offer BArch program, function intake of 80 students, and B Plan, which is a 4-year program, intake of. A highlight is that we are the only institute to have the B Plan program in Karnataka approved by AICTE and affiliated to VTU, and are currently in the process of getting ITPI recognition. We are approved by the Council of Architecture, New Delhi, All India Council of Technical Education, AICTE, New Delhi, Institute of Town Planners, India, New Delhi, which is in process, Government of Karnataka. We are affiliated to VTU, Belgavi, Indian Institute of Architects, Mumbai. We are institutional member and the only institution in India having IIA students chapter. We have MOU with IGBC, Jamasocham. We are institutional members in Nodal Center of Center for Education Growth and Research, CEGR, New Delhi. We at NITI School of Architecture are associated with initiative mission like this from our inception in 2016. We have focused on doing our bit to promote and facilitate awareness about sustainability, and our students have done many projects in these areas. We do our best to give our students a complete understanding of the social, economical, and environmental implications of going green. We also have a students chapter of IGBC, which keeps the students well connected to the development. We recently hosted an event, Bigathan, in association with Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, LBNL, USA, to launch the Building Innovation Guide for High Performance Energy Efficient Buildings in India, which is expected to innovate the building infrastructure. The faculty in charge of many such initiatives is Dr. Gayatri, who is in this panel right now, who is continuously associated with PJMT. It gives us immense pleasure to associate with Prem Jain Memorial Trust. As you know, Prem Jain Memorial Trust was set up in 2018 in memory of Dr. Prem Jain, father of green buildings in India, as already told by Mrs. Pyle. With a mission is to create, establish, and maintain sustainability paradigm through education, recognition, and nourishing of our present and future generations. With prime focus on students, they build the foundation of society and programs that are curated and designed to inspire these young minds to become future torchbearers of sustainable living. Our association with PJMT started with Living Building Series, then World Green Building Week, hosted sessions on mental and physical wellness inspired by nature, and now Harit Prem Bharat Mahotsav 2021. Waiting to hear more thoughts from our speakers today, Mr. Ashish Jain and Mr. Jairaj K. The speaker one of the day would be Mr. Ashish K. Jain, who is a partner at E.ON and leads sustainability and green building business. He has 18 years of comprehensive work experience in the field of building green buildings, sustainability, BIM, interior design and architecture for the projects across different countries, including India, USA, Europe, and Middle East. He has been leading sustainability groups in India and Middle East. As a thought leader in sustainability, he has presented several papers at the various international and domestic forums and conducted various lectures on sustainability at premier institutes of India. He has been associated with many forums like CII, Climate Change Council Technical Committee, IGBC Green Mass Rapid Transit Rating System, IGBC Green Homes Rating System, IGBC Net Zero Energy Rating Systems, IGBC Green Interior Rating System, American Academy of Project Management, Indian Institute of Interior Designers. As a sustainability professional, Ashish has a strong professional experience within the field of sustainable building design. He has worked on issues such as passive design strategies, microclimate enhancement, and energy efficient design of various building types. His core expertise is in advertising architects, engineers, and other professionals of the building industry in sustainability and positively influencing their designs in order to reduce energy consumption and negative impacts on the environment while increasing occupant comfort. The speaker two of the day would be Mr. Jairaj K, who is a country lead of Green Building Services at Green Tree Global. Jairaj K is a lead AP, BD plus C, and an IGBC accredited professional with 5+ years of experiences in energy simulation and analysis, green building rating facilitations as per LEED and Graha rating systems, daylight and solar simulations, CFD analysis, and energy tool development. He has helped deliver more than 120+ projects in both the public and the private sectors. I would now request them to tell us more also. Would like to take this opportunity to thank Madam and PGMT team. Thank you once again for organizing such an event and for giving us this opportunity to NITI School of Architecture, Planning and Design, NITI SAPD, would be happy to associate and collaborate with all their future endeavors in theme of green and sustainable buildings, and would continue support to knit a strong ecosystem. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha, for that introduction and for introducing the institute to us. Moving on to the session today, the first session is to be presented by Mr. Ashish Jain, who's a partner at Aeon Integrated Building Designs Consultants LLP. Sir will be presenting the case study of his office, the Aeon Corporate Office, as a green and healthy office. Mr. Ashish Jain leads sustainability and green building businesses at Aeon. He has 18 years of comprehensive work experience in the field of green buildings, sustainability, BIM, interior design, and architecture for projects across different countries, including India, USA, Europe, and Middle East. As a thought leader in sustainability, he has presented several papers at various international and domestic forums and conducted various lectures on sustainability at premier institutes of India. He is associated with the following forums. He is a member of the CII Climate Change Council. He is a technical committee member for 3 rating systems at Indian Green Building Council, which include Green Mass Rapid Transit Systems, Green Homes Rating System, and Net Zero Rating System. He is also a member of the IGBC Green Interior Rating System, fellow member of the American Academy of Project Management, associate member of Indian Institute of Interior Design. With this introduction, I would like to hand over the podium to Mr. Jain, and we would love to hear the case study of his office and how he developed a green and healthy building. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Siddhant. I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll just quickly share my screen and we can directly start the presentation without taking much of the time now. So I'm glad to be here in this forum because this Harit Prem Bharat is definitely one initiative which kind of ties together all the different stakeholders from not only the industry but also the academics. And this case study that I'm going to present is basically just to share the experience that we have within our own Aeon corporate office, while making sure that it's following the principles of green and health and well-being. So today, this presentation will basically help you understand what we have done in this office as a part of the journey. Basically, I will take you through what the health and wellness, because green buildings is definitely one concept which we have been using in our buildings for almost 2 decades now. And I remember when we used to when the movement had started, people used to ask, what is a green building? If I paint the building with green color, can I call it a green building? And answer, as we all know today, is definitely not the correct answer. And health and wellness as a next dimension is coming out as the next wave in sustainable building designs, because with all the consciousness of energy efficiency and water efficiency we've been experiencing, now the focus is also happening a lot on this concept of health and wellness. But when we talk about it, while we go around this, it's also important to understand what this concept is all about. So today I am actually putting this question of what is wellness. And when we generally ask this question in today's situation, the answers are varying a lot. One of the common, phrase which comes out, it's an opposite to illness. And definitely that's not the correct answer, because if we talk about health, health is not just merely the absence of any disease or infirmity. As per WHO, going with the definition itself, it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being. And that is what exactly we have to address in our buildings when we are designing them, because people are the users who are going to be using that building and operating from there, affecting their physical, mental, and social well being in all respects. So these are four main areas what are being addressed in the health and well-being concept. Uh, there is a rating system also, launched by Indian Green Building Council, which is IGBC Health and Well-being Rating System. And the approach is whole body mind approach, because health and wellness is not just about one aspect that we can talk about. It has to integrate all of the dimensions that we look at in the overall body mind approach. Aeon Corporate Office, we had started our journey of green for this office in 2017 when we started constructing this. And we started with applying all the principles and concepts of green buildings at that moment. And in fact, health and well-being rating system came well after that, and we immediately started using the concepts because of the simple fact, not to really only to earn the rating, but the very fact that Delhi NCR has got a lot of rising pollution levels, and people do not feel themselves safe. So one of our colleagues in the office, one fine day came wearing a mask, and it was a winter season, and that triggered the fact that why can't we look at it as a overall health and well-being for all the employees in the office. Well, we were already certified as platinum rating in the green interior rating system of IGBC, which completely focuses on the environmental aspects. But then we took the step of moving into the wellness of the office itself. So today we have got 2 platinum ratings for our office. One is for environmental, which is green interior, and the other one is for people, which is health and well-being. And overall sustainability, has to deal with not only environment, but its people also, and of course the economics involved in. In by ASHRAE journal, which was basically ASHRAE High Performance Building Journal that focuses on buildings across different geographies, and this was featured over there. In the IGBC coffee table book, also the building got featured as a green and healthy building over there. Some of the features that you see on the bottom of the screen talks about energy efficiency, occupant comfort, occupant health, water management, and resource management. So all of it has to combine when we talk of green and healthy space. There is always a fine balance when we talk of both these concepts, because green, when it talks more of efficiency, wellness might not really deal with efficiency because it talks of more of the comfort and well-being. So somewhere we have to find a right balance of keeping both the concepts together, which is what we have tried to do in this office. The whole office is 100% daylit throughout the day, which helps us maintaining a lot of well-being and the energy efficiency aspects. I'll take you through some of the other features also in the presentation. These are some of the pictures, as you can see from the office. This is also the other floor. So we have got 2 floors in this office. I'm not going to read out the text on the right hand side because it's self-explanatory, but I'll take you through these features individually. So if we look at it, this is the floor plan that we have. We have got 2 floors here. This is one of the upper floors where we have got reception conferences. This is on the left hand side, we have the studio. And what you see on the bottom, it's Shrishti Cafe, is basically a multi-purpose area. And if I just orient, this is the north of the building. While we were selecting this building as an office, we were also mindful of the fact that the directions have to be such that it can help us achieving the right efficiency levels from the solar perspective, heat gains, and daylight. So this corner, which is north, helps us maintaining a right balance because both these sides have got full glazing, and that glazing is giving us glare-free daylight for most part of the day. The bottom side that is basically towards the southwest side. We do have windows on this side, but that's not a full glazing, so we are controlling over there that way. You will notice some of the facts here that the kind of interior planning which was done here was also from the fact that none of the workstations you will see touching the perimeter of the building, because this particular zone which is basically facing northwest starts getting some glare part towards the end of the day in the later part of the second half. So we didn't want people to get affected with any of the glare creating problems for them. So all this is kept as a circulation space. There are collaborative spaces throughout the office because in today's time when people are not really very keen sitting on their desks all the time, and where the integration is required in the activities, we need to have collaborative spaces. And this Shrishti Cafe is basically working like a co-working space also for us. At times when people they have to get together to work on a particular project, they can come here, sit there. We're also using it for different webinars and presentations for the knowledge enhancement part of the staff. So all of that happens here. It's quite a busy and happening place of the office. While we come on the lower floor, this is how the floor plate looks like. And similarly, this whole area in the center that you see is again a collaborative space with a standing desk at a library there. These areas are made more like a collaborative space again, and also as part of health and well-being, people when they are sitting for very long durations on their desk, that's not the most healthiest way of dealing with work. So standing desk helps people to take a break and do their work from there itself. Also here, similar to the upper plan, the extreme left hand side, we have kept the circulation spaces basically to keep it as a glare-free zone, not disturbing the people from that. Also, the perimeter spaces also invite some heat gains. So we wanted to be away from that. All the spaces, there is no internal partition that you will see, because this whole area, I will show you in the photographs, that will be very clear. This is all the area which has got views to the outside and is receiving daylight. So there's no obstruction as such, which can, keep people away from those benefits. Um, all the furniture has been designed considering ergonomic principles in mind. So the circulation spaces, distances between the desks, the areas around them, those all followed by following the ergonomic principles. This is how the office looks from the center, if you see, and this corner is north, as I was talking about. Both sides we have got this glazing. It is a leased out office, even though we didn't have control changing the glass, because it's not the best glass that we got in this building. But what was there definitely in our control is that we can control the heat gains by putting solar films on it. So we installed all the glasses are with solar films so that we can reduce the heat made from that. At the same time, we do not really compromise on the amount of daylight that we get. Till 5:30 in the evening, there is no corner or space in the whole office which is required to use any artificial light. So it's completely 100% daylit office, be it a pantry, be it a washroom, be it a meeting room, or the working studio, everything. And that saves a lot of not just the energy, but daylight has got its own health benefits, as we keep reading in different articles and journals. So health and well-being concept uses a lot of advantages of the daylight, which is what is helping us in this office. People feel productive, and they do not get tired for most part of the day because of the discomfort that we generally get from artificial lights. It's not there. This is some of the photographs of these spaces from meeting rooms. So everything, is well connected to the outdoor spaces. People have views. Here, if you see this particular slide talks about use of blinds. So what happens is that, as I said, this particular side starts getting glare towards the later part of the second half. So we do have the blinds there, but it is operated not for the full day. At different times from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. we can use this glazing fully. Beyond 2 p.m. till 4:30 p.m. we do get some partial sun is there, so we can use it partially. And towards the end of the day, when sun is towards the dawn side and the sun angle is quite low, if required, people can draw the blinds to the fullest. But that's the time when you start anyways getting closer to the evening actually. Another feature that we have incorporated is that there's a concept of adaptive thermal comfort. So in most of the offices, you will find that the temperature, the air conditioning temperature, which is set at somewhere around 22, 23 degrees. What we are keeping the temperature in our office is 27 degrees, and not compromising on the thermal comfort, because these fans that you see are called HVLS fans, high volume, low speed fans, which are helping us to maintain a right balance between the air speed and the temperature that we are able to keep within the spaces. So with even the higher temperature, with slight velocity of air within the space, people feel comfortable, and that's the concept of adaptive thermal comfort, which we have implemented here. Is giving us a lot of energy savings. At the same time, we are able to get the better comfort conditions for people. Benefit with these fans, what we are also getting is that we can run it not only in summers, but we can run it in the winters also for air circulation in that space, because they are multi-directional fans. We can use them in clockwise direction also and anti-clockwise direction also. For indoor air quality, we've got, this image on the right that you see is basically the fresh air unit, which is taking the outside air, treating it, and then supplying it to the space. And on the left hand side is the ESP unit, electrostatic purifying unit, which is helping us to remove the pollutants, whatever is there in the form of PM 2.5, PM10, formaldehydes, VOCs. So all of that is controlled through these units. There are multiple of such units which are installed in the office, helping us to keep the pollutants at a lowest level in the office. Indoor air quality, we talk about, the kind of pollution levels which we have outside. The amount of pollutants that we get inside is quite less. Ishre, if I just take an example of PM 2.5, basically ambient at ambient of around 350 or 400 units outside, what we are able to maintain inside is less than 15, which goes beyond the class A category of IEQ standard. And there are a lot of indoor plants that we have and these air purifying units which are helping us to maintain these good levels. This is the levels I was talking about. So there is class A, class B, and class C. And the levels that we are able to maintain in the office is qualifying much below class A levels also. From the energy efficiency point of view, all the appliances or the electronic items that we have, including the ACs, AC is all inverter-based ACs, and all the appliances and everything is all B 5-star rated appliances, which helps us keeping the energy in check. These are some of the energy efficiency measures that we have implemented, even though the space is leased out, but whatever we could possibly do in order to control the heat gains, we have done that. So this is the top floor, which is exposed to environment. We have got the underdeck insulation done here. So it's the insulated ceiling, reducing the heat gains. Also on top of terrace, we have got the high SRI painting done, even though it was not belonging to us, but we did that. Inverter based AC units, thermostat, as I talked about, HVLS fans, use of LED lights. So even the lighting that we have, LED is a most widely used technology today. But how do we plan interior lighting is also a very important area. Not just putting a lot of fixtures of even LED is going to help, because we have to keep a uniform distribution of light, wattage is in control, it should not create glare. So all of that has been checked for the lighting design also. Solar films on the glass and B star rated equipment, so all of that is done. This is the artificial lighting design simulations that were done before we actually installed the lights, because we just did not want to only reduce the wattages, but we also wanted to have a uniform lux distribution across places. So these studies helped us planning it more efficiently, and LPD that we are able to achieve at the end of it is as less as 0.35 watt per square foot. To give you a background, the standards are talking of 1 watt per square foot. We have reduced it by almost 65% in the office here. The electricity bill that we're getting is not crossing a lakh of rupees, and that's for a 10,000 square foot office, and which is quite low that we are able to achieve. This is the image of Srishti Cafe, as I was talking about. It's a multi-purpose hall. There are some of these interesting furniture items that you will see is again to create that barrier of people when they come out of their studios. This is a more like a breakout space also that they can use it. So this again stimulates the different aspects of health and well-being. All of these signages that you see are again installed to some of these are inspirational quotes from the environment perspective, health and well-being, nutritional values, all of that is done. This artwork that you see on the bottom right is basically an artwork made out of different waste item by some of the staff members. So some of these activities keep on going. These are some other images of the cafe, which is used for recreation and as a gathering space also. Some of the events that we keep on doing, and this cafe area do help us in celebrating things at different times. So you will see all these different multi-purpose usages happening at different times of the day. We do have got some recreational facilities also embedded in the office, basically to help people use it as and when they need. Water fixtures are all low flow. Refurbished furniture, a lot of furniture that we have here, we used old furniture, refurbished it in a more much efficient manner. We refurbish that and use it. All of these are old items that you see. There is a study which we got done for which is called geopathic radiation, to negate the negative impacts of any radiation coming out of different electronic equipments or electromagnetic waves that are running through the property. So the image on the right that you see is basically a chip which is installed at the intersection points of the electromagnetic radiations which are flowing through, and it helps in controlling. And that's one that you see is basically the how the how do we check if it is working or not. So there is a pulse rate which is basically measured before and after this study was done, and there was a neutralization of that for around 15% that we get, which is again a health related aspect. This is a certification that we got for that study. This is a small gym that we have created in the office for people to use. And this was a third-party study done by GBCI for the office on different parameters like air quality and noise, lighting, and views. And most of it went through on their scale of measurements. More than 90% people were satisfied in most of these parameters, and that's about it. So we do all of these things in the office. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful presentation and for letting us know the different technologies and techniques that you have used in your office. And these are something that can be read. And as you showed that this was done in a leased space, so I think retrofitting is something that can definitely be done. Uh,
Absolutely.
now from the audience, if we have any questions, we have time for a couple of questions. So you can either put them in the chat box, yeah, or in the QA. So we have the first question from Aditya. So he has a couple of questions. First is, what is the energy use intensity of the building?
Right. So our EUI is coming out somewhere around, I think 80, if I remember correctly, is the EPI that we are getting over there.
Okay. And the second question is, what kind of fresh air HVAC systems are serving the place?
So for fresh air, as I showed in one of the slides, we have got a treated fresh air unit installed, which is taking outdoor air, and there are filters within the unit. So the outside air gets treated and is supplied to the space.
Right. From the audience, if we have any more questions, do post them in the chat box or the Q&A section, and Ashish sir can take them. So I think there are no more questions.
No problem. Even if later on, if you want to have a discussion or any query you want to discuss, do feel free to get in touch. There is always a So there's one question: was any glare analysis done prior to the design? Yes, we did the glare analysis, and as part of because the facade wasn't under our control, it's a leased out building. We couldn't do much about the glare control on the facade as such, but the interior planning, as I showed in the slide, was done in such a way that we are able to control glare coming from those different areas. So we did the glare analysis beforehand.
Right. There is one more question in the Q&A box. Suhas Reddy is asking which face is the office located, like north or south or east or west?
So we have a diagonal orientation of the north, as I was showing in one of the plans. I'm not too sure if my screen is still visible.
No, not yet, sir.
So if you see the left hand corner on the where my cursor is basically north. So we have northwest glazing and northeast glazing. Hello.
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how the north is oriented. This corner.
Okay. So I hope the question is answered. We have one more questions. One more question. What tools were used to prior to the design? What tools were used to perform glare analysis? And did you consider high dynamic range imaging to post evaluate glare? Is just a suggestion.
So we did use the software for doing the glare analysis. The design software that we have from Rhino, we did the analysis, Rhino and Grasshopper, which was used for doing the glare analysis. And I'm not clear of with what exactly do you mean with high dynamic range imaging. So yeah, but we did glare analysis through that.
Okay. So we have one question from Nandita. She's asking how effective is the film you used in heat reduction and maintaining indoor quality?
It did help a lot in controlling the heat gains because the glazing that we have inherited in the building from the developer is not the best glazing. It's a single glass that we have, and the heat gains were quite high. When we moved into the office in the beginning, we did not install the solar films in the beginning itself, but there was a lot of problems with the heat gains as we started experiencing. After that, we took a decision to install solar films, and after installing it, it was quite helpful in reducing the heat gain, and even the ACs were running quite efficiently after that. So it did help us, and you can definitely consider it in the projects where the option of changing glazing is not there. It works well.
So thank you, Ashish sir, for taking up those questions and for giving us such a great presentation on how you have used different technologies to make a green and healthy office space. Moving on to the
Thank you so
second,
much.
thank you, sir. Moving on to the second part of the session today, we have a, a video on Nalanda University. And we have with us from Green Tree Global, we have Mr. Jairaj K. Uh, and Ms. Charanjit. Mr. Jairaj K is the country lead for green building services at Green Tree Global. He is a lead AP, BD plus C, and an IGBC accredited professional with 5+ years of expertise experience in energy simulation and analysis, green building rating facilitation as per LEED and GRIHA rating systems, daylight and solar simulation, CFD analysis, and energy tool development. He has helped develop more than 120+ projects in both public and private sectors. Before we begin the video, I would like to invite Ms. Taranjeet to introduce to us the project and let us know what did they do to develop a green and healthy building. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Charanjit Kaur, and I'm an architect. I have done masters in environment architecture, and currently I'm working as an energy analyst in Green Tree. So today I will let you know about one of our project, which is net positive and received 5-star rating. That is Nalanda University at Bihar. It's a net positive campus, and it's a self-sustainable campus of the future. So before showing the documentary, I want to brief about the Nalanda University. It's a sprawling 455 acres campus, being to be probably the largest self-sustainable campus. So being take for the granted the place that provide life, food, shelter, water, happiness, and love. We pay very little respect to the that which sustain us by offering negligible amount of reciprocal. Yet we have done so much damage since the industrial revolution that we need to do more than if we want to sustain human population. Currently, we are talking about reducing energy demand, reducing water demand, therefore lessening the burden on the earth, non-renewable resources. It means current generation compromise its need to get equal share of resources for future generation. But population is growing at breakneck speed. Conservation has its limit. One day will come when the resources will end. So rethinking on our strategy is a goal and need of the hour. We often ignore billions of species on topsoil every time to give a way to new development. Therefore, instead of seeking to solve individual problems with the objective of causing less harm solution, instead we need to engage and empower people throughout the world to focus upon integrated system approach. So Nalanda University explained the true meaning of sustainability. The building design is inspired from the old ruin of Nalanda University, which was one of the largest university in the world. The campus is a model of environmentally sensitive and energy efficient design. The entire site was designed around ecological system regeneration. It will produce more clean water than it consumes, surplus of food, more energy than it consumes. All the water requirement for the university is scattered from the rainfall. The food, they have provided 5% of the total landscape area, which is dedicated to agriculture farming, so that the surplus of food will be produced. Energy, they have provided a biogas plants, which presents an opportunity for waste reduction and energy regeneration. The bio waste from the local poultry plates, dairy plants, and local vegetable market will be collected to produce energy. And it also provides an opportunity for the local villagers to have an income. And the 80% of water coming from washing, flushing, and kitchen will be treated and reused for landscape and irrigation. The approach of Nalanda University is concerned with the healthy development of natural and human systems. The university set an example for the transition from a mechanistic to an ecological or living system worldview. This view will help us to reconceptualize the relationship among human technology and nature. We should move toward a practice that employ a full understanding of natural and living system in the design of structure. So let's see how this university is self-sustainable. So I'll share a video. I think it's not, I can't share while other participant is sharing. Maybe.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead. You can share.
Okay. So start.
But it's not audible, ma'am.
It's not audible, Charanjit. Is it audible, Siddhant?
No, sir, not audible. That's why I was.
Yeah.
Is it not audible?
No,
No.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, give me a moment.
Share with you a journey that starts from the 5th century CE and continues into the
Is it
21st
okay?
century CE.
Yes, sir, it's audible now.
The brief also mentioned how the quarries used for the excavation of the were converted. Types of the ordnance factory.
Yeah, I think the voice is not audible, so I'll give you the brief what exactly is. So this university is lying near to the Rajgir Hill, which is and it is I think 15 kilometer from the old ruins of Nalanda University. So if we see we can see that this is a site plan of the university, and these are the channels which are going water channels which are running around it. The water, they have conserved all the water from all the this is the road network which is shown here, that the all the neighboring localities has been attached with this, interconnected with the villages also. They have provided on the upper side it is a main highway, and this here on the downstyle it will be a next road. So the if we see the how they have come to this concept, just at the center there is a water tank which is bisected from the center, and at the center they have provided a library, and outside there will be a water channels running through it. And these are the Rajgir Hills which are shown here, and if we can see this, this is showing that of how the water fall down from the Rajgir Hill toward the Nalanda University, and they have planned in such a way that the water could not be. They have prepared the water network in such a way that the water on this drainage, the water will be catered from the fines and then cater to this whole water will be taken from these fines, and it will get to the water tank and collected in the central water tank. There will be a small fines running through the whole site, and it will be directly connected to the central water area. These are the main main entrance from this side, and whole they have designed in such a way that the pedestrian whole site is pedestrian movement. When you are bringing your vehicles, it will be taken only at the entrance of the site, and there will be a cycling will be there. So at every 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer, there will be charging stations where they can charge and get to the whole site without having a carbon emission. So ground coverage is 88% is the total ground coverage, and we see more than 60% is the landscape area. On the opposite side, there is a railway station, which is proposed, and 3 entries are given from this side. This 3, 4, 5 is secondary entries. At the center, it's a library, the club area, playway area, and this will be the administrative areas, and classes will be there. And this is the playground, and at the center, it will be a huge, like a market will be there, so student market, and less other, that's green area showing as a landscape area, which will be dedicated only for drought tolerant species and farming. We can see in the picture that this is a big, huge water tank at the center, and it is connected with all the amenities. and we can be connected from the campus toward the central library through the market area. This is the phase 1 master plan, which is showing how much will be the construction will be on in phase 1. And they have provided thick walls in front of this building so that it will reduce the direct heat radiations which come from outside. So they have provided a big verandas like structure so to reduce the heat gain.
So yeah, hi, good afternoon all. This is Jairaj. So I just have a quick word on this Nalanda University. So as you see in this presentation, there are many things which is involved, like which you can see uneven structures. So that is how the Nalanda is referred. So you don't know any distance between the buildings, or you don't know anything the specific height of any buildings. It's everything is uneven. So right now what you're seeing is the efficient daylighting which you can able to get inside the building. So this is in that way the building has been made so that not the maximum heat can be gained inside the building. That is the main motive. So in these pictures, you can see the diffuse light, which is only giving the lighting will be entered into the building, and the which is the rays which carries the heat will be falling on the outer structure, so that inside the thermal comfort can be met. Thermal comfort, which means the human comfort level. So this is how the building has been modeled in such a way like human thermocomfort has been kept in the mind and the priority. Fine. And these are the pictures which showing the club and the entertainment areas where they have developed inside the campus itself. And moreover, this campus is an net zero. It's going for a net zero building in which the energy which they are consuming will be generated on site itself. As of now, based on the basic calculation, they comes out to be around 7.5 megawatt. So in addition to it, we have proposed for the biogas also. So these are some residential complex you can see in the picture. And in addition to that, regarding the energy, so we were seriously working on the low energy HVAC systems. So in terms of low energy HVAC systems, in market you can see many HVAC system in terms of chiller, VRV system, and many lot more things in terms of split AC package unit. But here seriously we need to work on the low energy HVAC system in which we have designed the desiccant enhanced evaporative cooling design in this building. So you can see more pictures on that also. So this is how I'm telling that net zero campus in which efficient HVAC system like cooling tower, channel, AHU. Apart from that, we have used the desiccant evaporative cooling also. So desiccant evaporative cooling is nothing but whatever the air which is taken from outside, from that air, the water vapor will be taken out by using the desiccant liquid, and then it will be passing through the uh, non-contact, that is indirect evaporative cooling, in which water will be flowing through the tubes and air will be passed through that, and then finally the chilled air will be coming outside, which will be supplied to the space or the room or academic space. So this is how this DVAP HVAC system works, and that's how we have reduced the energy consumption, and that energy consumption also have been offset through the solar PV and biogas technologies. So this is what we just want to highlight. Like this is one of our prestigious project which we are working on, Nalanda University. So we just want you guys to have a look on this video, but unfortunately audio was not working. But this video is available on the YouTube also. If you like, you can visit the YouTube website and you can just see the Nalanda University video. It's a very beautiful video actually. And more about it is regarding the net zero. That is what I have specified by providing the solar PV plant and the biogas plant. And if further any more clarifications or doubt, you can just carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for explaining that video. While we did have some technical glitch, both of you explained the video very well. Audience, if you have any questions for sir and ma'am, you can put it in the Q&A or chat box, and we can take a couple of questions.
I think Ms. Saraswati Kailasam was asking for the YouTube link.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just share the link.
Okay, so while we get the YouTube link, do we have any questions regarding the campus, regarding any tools or techniques or technologies used in the project? We have time for a couple of questions. We can take them.
Fine. Meanwhile, I can just tell you a few more addition points in terms of using the softwares in the green building consultancy work. So we have used the Equus software for the energy modeling of this building to bring down the EPA less than 50. EPA is the energy performance index, in which it will be defined as units, kWh units, how much it's consumed per meter squared in a year. So this is what the calculation we have done using the Equus software. And we have used also Ecotech, which is the daylighting software for this project. So these are the two main softwares which we have used. So if any doubts regarding the softwares or any thing regarding the energy performance, so that can be addressed to it. Okay, fine. So Siddhant, any more queries?
So looks like we don't have any questions coming in.
Okay, great.
Jairaj, I have a question. This is Gayatri. So generally in kind of energy modeling or daylight modeling which you do, so how do you freeze on the max and min values of the, how do you set them when you do the modeling, especially
Okay,
for
fine.
daylighting?
Great. So there is a benchmark base case which will be telling and the proposed case as per actual. So this benchmark base case, there are various codes which is available in India, in which ECBC code, Energy Conservation Building Code is available, and IGBC,
Right.
Indian Green Building Council, they also have their own standards, and ASHRAE standard, American standards. So these are the basically the standards or benchmarks will be taking for the energy and daylight. And based on these base cases, we'll be doing the proposed case. For example, better envelope property like putting up the AAC wall, putting up the double wall, or putting up the insulation in the roof. So these are the some recommendations we'll be putting and taking out the consumption. So we'll compare with the base case, which is done with the benchmark values, as I told with the ECBC and ASHRAE. So this is the comparison we'll be doing.
Okay. So of all the three you mentioned now, which one would you say is apt for Indian conditions?
ECBC would be the apt one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that answer. Do we have any more questions which we can take? So looks like we don't have any more questions. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful insight into Nalanda University and the different tools that you have used and the design concepts that you have incorporated to aim for a net zero campus. To give the vote of thanks and the closing remarks, I would like to invite Dr. Rekha to do the honors. Over to you, ma'am.
So I would take that.
Okay, sorry, ma'am.
So thank you all once again, and thank you for this insightful talk by both Mr. Ashish Jain and Jairaj and Charanjit ma'am. So as Benjamin Franklin said, tell me I forget, teach me I may remember, involve me and I learn. So this, like, such kind of talks and all, which help students to learn the practical way of looking things. So what actually happens in theory, which what we teach in class, is one way of understanding, and then actually applying it is what is more important, which we try to learn from these experts and talks like these. So thank you very much for giving us this wonderful talk. Thank you, Ms. Payal Jain and PJMT team for associating with us on this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was a wonderful session. Just wanted to say thank you to all the speakers. Very, very insightful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the closing remarks, and thank you to all the speakers as well. This is Siddhant signing off from the session.
Okay, thank you, Siddhant. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Siddhant.
Thank you, sir. I'll exit the meeting now.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. It was a pleasure hosting.